Yes.
No.
We are live. I'm going to need to send a report.
Any person wishing to address the Board of Trustees regarding a matter that is not on the agenda must complete a request to address the trustees form and submit it to the recorder before the meeting is called to order. Request to address the board, written or verbal, will not be granted after the meeting has begun. Cualquier persona que quiera dirigirse a la mesa directiva tocante un asunto el cual no esté en la agenda, tiene que llenar la forma petición de dirigirse a la mesa directiva y someterla al secretario antes de la apertura de la junta y que sea llamada a orden. Peticiones de dirigirse a la mesa directiva escritas o orales no serán permitidas después de que la junta haya comenzado. Call to order at 5 p.m. please. Present.
Present. This is board member. David Velasquez, board member.
Here.
Bill Lopez, board member. Present. Diego Superintendent President, Fred Luna, Director, 2 of Administrative Services. Present. Ines Esparza Diaz, Director, 2 of the Instruction Services. Antonio Rivera, Administrative Secretary, Recorder. Present. Mr. Rodriguez, Communications.
Thank you. Moving on to 2.0, adoption of agenda. 2.1, adopt agenda as presented. Board members, do we have any comments, questions, or concerns? Do I have a motion? I have a motion by member Lopez to approve 2.1. Do I have a second? I have a second by member Garay. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to the closed session. We will be going to closed session at 5:01 p.m.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Can you hear anything?
anything to know what's happening. For me, I had nothing to do.
And she said that, I was like, I don't know. So I wasn't gonna venture out. So we looked into it and said, okay, there is, and then we have to set up a form and do all that. And then once it gets out,
You know, the only thing is that, everybody's so ugly. Yes, so speaking, everybody do.
here's some of them, right? Oh, yeah, yeah. There's one, and that's it. Don't worry. That's like that. It was at the beginning of last one. One second.
The one per topic. Yeah, I will.
Because I don't,
And this gonna be that every day, right now, you know, pretty much scriptures stuff, it's not public hearing, what you say, and we, they're okay with. But I have to defend.
I wouldn't do it's part of.
You know, I'm gonna start talking and then I'll forget that I was pretty sure. You just told me like that, okay, fine. Yes. Just go like that, like, oh, I'm going or something. Or I know what, you take the slide and just take the next one.
Okay.
Oops.
Moving right along. Moving right along. Okay. It's growing.
Oh, well, it was just a day. I wanted to be a weekend, but he wasn't ready for it. She didn't come.
Was it, there was no fires up there?
No, actually, the air was still a little bit musty, right?
Uh-huh.
But you could see, I could see the the snow-covered mountains across there. It was a great day.
We had a lot of people.
No, not as much as we thought there would be. And so, I don't know if you, well, you know that area,
No
right?
fire?
Not, well, there's a lot of fires now, but the fires were not kicking up at that time. That week, that's last month, right? It was a great day, and what we hiked, we walked, it was really, really nice. And I got to one day where, nothing from work, and we're out this information, and it was really nice. I was tired that day. I was hurt. We climbed up Mount Moral Rock, they call it. And there's the stairwell to it. Oh my gosh. What scares you all the way up here, you're seeing parents, you're seeing mothers, you're seeing.
Bail on them?
Yes, I can't make it, I can't because they're the heights, they're not good heights, right? Yeah. And then, so I don't think that I'm good with heights. I just look down at the concrete, I just go. You got rails, and I'd stop and I'd rest, and I just rest a little bit, because it's,
Is there a turnout? Can you go back?
Yeah, there's on the trail up, there's little spots where you can pause, and you can take pictures, and so you can, but you can turn. It's not that tight, the path up and down. So, but it was, if you hadn't done it, it's a good place. I got there, we left about 6 a.m., got there at 8, got there to the Sequoia entry to the national forest. And at 8 o'clock, we waited about the 10 o'clock. And so it was about 8:10. And it was, but it was nice. We started off with going to General Sherman, the largest Sequoia in the forest. And then, we started there. And we went to a meadow, and they have a meadow of trees, a lot of trees there. You just walk on the meadow. Then you go to a log that's burning. Oh. Yes, take a picture of it, yeah. You can drive around it. Yeah. The guy carved a cabin out of one of the trees, all the way down. It was really nice. It was nice. And there wasn't a lot of, wasn't any food, wasn't any, I mean, there was a good stuff there, but you don't go there, it was too regulated, so we didn't even have that. We took the lunch, we took the sandwich, we didn't eat the lunch, we had drinks, we drank water all day long. And then on the way back, we stopped and we had some tacos and some beverages. So that was a nice part. There was a brewing company up there, 3 Rivers.
Oh, you went through 3 Rivers?
3 Rivers, yeah.
3 Rivers? 198, so you went through Visalia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we touched upon Visalia, it's on the outskirts.
Yeah.
So it was nice. Huh?
You never been to Visalia? If you take 198, it'll take you through 3 Rivers and get you to this side of the.
It's you can do it as a drive for a day. You pay $35 as an entry to the forest, and it's good for 7 days. I tried to get my wife to go back with me on Sunday because we did Friday, came back, and hurt on Saturday, right? I said, come on, let's go. Even just for the drive, just to get out of the house, just to go. Because I liked it that much. And I think something with Matthew needed some help with Persephone, so we were babysit for a little bit. And then we get to, I was getting ready for her birthday with her on Monday. So, and she didn't want to go. So I said, well, okay. But anyways, it was a nice day trip. It was a great day trip. It really was. We got some hiking in, and it wasn't hot, but it was really cool. I wore long sleeves and jeans, so you don't get bugs, and you don't walk around bushes that may have nice here. Yeah, but it was really nice. I mean, it was great.
Ivy, what is that?
Yeah, poison ivy, poison oak.
Yeah, poison oak.
Yeah, it was nice. I'd do it again. Actually, we're thinking of Yosemite next. Capitan. Well, yeah, just to take a picture of it.
Yeah, there's no climbing that one on the backside.
No.
I've been.
Well, here it's hard to get even to it, right?
I don't know that.
I haven't done it. I remember going years ago. We took. It's a lot. It's a huge one. When you see the picture of Yosemite, you see the river, you see the waterfall, you see the river, but there you see the rock. We see postcards.
Did you make it up top of Morro Rock?
Yeah, we made it to the top.
So did you see back into the valley?
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Oh, my God.
You're up there.
Yes. Mount Whitney, you can see the snow-capped mountains.
No.
No, that's Morro Bay. That's a different Morro, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a Morro Rock. I got pictures of it. And it's not quite as elegant, I don't think.
We've been meaning to, there's a lodge up there. You got by it?
Well, there's a lot,
An actual hotel
yes.
up there. We've been meaning to stay up there.
I want to go to the one in Yosemite.
Well, yeah, that one's nice.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. I've never
That's
stayed.
really nice.
I think you may have mentioned that too.
Yeah, it's nice. The one up here where you were at this weekend is nice too. We've never stayed. We've driven by there and stopped there and kind of stopped at they have a really nice restaurant and gift shop next to each other. We stopped at that gift shop and kind of hung out for a little while. We've been meaning to go back.
I like it. I like the drive. It was really nice. The hike, trails, a lot of people. Yeah. People were friendly, you know. Just had some people. The worst we saw was a kid who didn't want to go up. His mom, you know, the Asian woman. She was dead set on getting him up to that rock, go to the top. Come on. They stopped and they rested, and he was crying, and, you know, but mom took him up, like, you know, maybe he had, you know, phobia or something. She was set, she was going to have her son in that boat. But as soon as we started walking, I mean, the first 30 steps going up to him, you know, right away I saw a young guy, I mean, built, you know, saw like he could have been a player, right? Turned around and he said, no, this isn't for me. So and I'm looking at him, and that's what scared me. I looked up, and I didn't have any water, you know, because my buddy said, no, let's just go, we don't need water, it's right there probably, you know, we'll be okay. And when he turned around, I thought, I'm going to take some water. I went back to the truck, I took some water bottles, like 4 of them, I put them in my backpack, and I headed up. And yeah, I didn't need one. I made it up to without any water. But on the way back, it was a family that hurt. They didn't need any water. So I just gave it to Delaware on the way down. We had lots of it. But yeah, it was nice. It was, gotta go. And even if you don't go up the rock, the scenery, you know, the pine trees, it's just nice. The trails.
My father used to take us a lot to the point and the center.
Yeah, Yosemite, so I want to go back. I didn't try any of the trails back. We stayed in the little tent village. And we actually stayed in the tent. We stayed in those. And we kind of hiked around. We didn't go up high because that was too small. But I would like to now. Yeah, I always hear about the trails back there going up to the waterfalls. And just sit in
There's a restaurant right there in Three Rivers. We're coming out of the park and we get into Three Rivers and it's right on the river. And you get to eat and see the river flowing right underneath. It's pretty neat.
Remember the name?
I know.
Okay, there was one that was closed. I remember Three Rivers because Lisa and I did our marriage.
Oh, they have a huge place
They
there.
had a marriage encounter. We were there, so that's how I remember Three Rivers. The place we went and had dinner that one night was called the White Horse Inn. It was really, but it was closed on the way back. But there was a couple places.
Yeah.
And but on the way up, we saw, you know, we're talking about 5:30 a.m. We saw that at the room. And I said, no, we're going back to that.
Yeah, okay.
So we made our way back, and it was well worth it.
It's been a while since I've been up there. I don't remember ever having seen
Yeah.
that.
And then in the back, they have a big, huge outdoor, you know, so it's got tables amongst the trees. And
Yeah.
you know the river is down, the creek is down there, but
Yeah.
we couldn't see it from where we were at. So it was just nice. Had a taco truck there for a taco place.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. So you had the brewing company, and then they had a taco place. They just had tacos. Different kinds of plates. Yeah, that was perfect. It's not like chickens. No, but it's a spot. Oh, yeah. She have a bad tooth?
They're gonna get, she's getting a crown and the whole thing, but she was like, not right now.
Part of what Lisa's doing, she's been working for her dad to get him insurance. Because he needs a lot of dental work. So part of her mission is to do all that. She's real good at it. She manages that stuff real well. So basically, she got it where her dad, this last week, early in the week, he got 5 teeth. Oh, yeah. I remember doing 4, right? So you did your braces, so you do the roller, right? One of them, and then, to make room. Man, 5. Well, even 1. I mean, to me, I don't.
My mother didn't even want to go. Right now, she doesn't want to go out at all.
Yeah,
She was
well,
like,
yeah,
"Mom, you have to." But she wouldn't until she went home.
That hurts. Yeah, that's it. The pain will get there.
She said painkillers, they don't even work anymore. Nothing works.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So she got to that point.
She got the root canal? Is that what she's getting, or just cavities?
No, she just had it. They just pulled it out. So they're gonna put a bridge there, but
Oh,
they said, not right now. Right now,
That's
Not
she
right.
said, I
Yeah.
get away and I'm
Yeah,
fine.
they want to play safe, which is everything's right, but still, they still need. Just our parents too, they don't want to go to the doctor.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah. Well,
Seriously, they just, they don't go out. They just, they go.
Okay.
When we go, like, I go and take food, or every week I go take a food and Anna takes some their medicine. At home, at my house, I wash it with water and I put soap and Clorox and I wash everything and then take it to her, leave it outside, and then they come out and they have a window where they just talk to us, but we're like sitting outside and like talking to us. But we don't, like, we protect them.
That's it.
We don't,
That's what you do.
we don't go inside or anything. But this time, right,
What you need to do.
she makes sure that I shower before, that I didn't take my working car, so I have to take my truck. That, yeah. They put it on the seat, that way there's like no cover at all.
There.
And I'm like, what are you gonna do when the dentist have you like right there? She's like, don't even tell me.
Yeah, they get tested. They get tested. They do that for staff. They test them, make sure.
Well, that's what, right? You know, they're trying to figure out. She got really sick. Yeah, people in the hospital for like.
Well, because that's probably because of patients.
Yeah. They come back to the hospital. Yeah. If you can, I almost got in most of the material with talking that I did, maybe because I did not.
You go,
Because I haven't eaten out at all.
you do it.
And Oscar was tempting me, come on, it's just like with extra chocolate. And I was like, no, because he wants to eat out.
Yeah.
And I tell him, go ahead, go buy outside food with COVID. He's like, okay, never mind, when you put it out.
Yeah.
But then, yeah,
You don't even want stuff delivered?
no. I mean, I go to the grocery store and then I buy it. I tried that with my parents,
Mhm.
and they deliver something totally different than what I
Oh.
ordered. And I was like, no, I just go buy it.
mean, we cook, I barbecue like crazy right now, just, you know. And then every once in a while, we'll go get some. But it'll be something that I pick up, and that I'm I'm very careful with that stuff, because I know Lisa goes with her mom and dad, and so I'm very careful for myself. Yeah, I have, so I've got the sanitizing towels, the liquid in my truck, like that.
Okay, you
And
have.
she gives me, she asked me, you're going, she asked me about this, did you do this, did you do that? And the one time I remember the pizza, I had to take it, I had my gloves on, I took the box, and I slid it out onto a pizza pan, and I had to take the box, take it out, like, don't touch nothing else.
Mm.
It's fine.
Well.
So, sure.
Today, when we had pizza here, I went to pick it up, but whoever went to pick it up, we went to pick it up. And the guy to check the pizza, he opened up the box, and his eyes was the height of the oven.
Yeah.
So he went like that, he didn't have a face covering, he didn't even have one. So he went like that, and literally,
Let's do that.
he was breathing on the pizza. Oh, no. I almost told him, I don't want that, we don't want that pizza, but the person who was with me, I was like, no, they're gonna think I'm totally crazy. And I was just like, okay, I'm not eating now until this thing is over. So I just felt like, oh no, this is not possible. Why are these people not taking care of everybody else?
Not everybody wears it the same. Not everybody, that's why it's still the way it is.
It's not just
They don't do it, they don't.
Yeah, come on in.
Thank you.
All right, how was your camping?
Oh, it was nice. Very nice. We just talked about it. Just yesterday. Still there? I was looking at the agenda. Maybe it's the other shop. Okay, motion.
Oh.
Okay, and read this too.
Does she need to report the vote? For the minutes.
Okay, so say the motions on it. Okay. Is this on? Green is on or red?
Yes, green is on, red is off.
Any person wishing to address the Board of Trustees regarding a matter that is not on the agenda must request to address the trustees from and submit to the recorder before the Pledge of Allegiance. Request to address the board, written or verbal, will not be granted after the Pledge of Allegiance has begun. Cualquier persona que quiera dirigirse a la mesa directiva tocante algún asunto cual no esté en la agenda, tiene que llenar la petición de dirigirse a la mesa directiva y someterla al secretario antes del saludo de la actividad permitidas después de la promesa de lealtad al comenzado. 4.0 open session. We'll be back in open session at 6:32 p.m. 4.1 report at closed session required. The board took action as referenced in agenda item 3.4. There was a motion by member Garay and a second by member Velasquez with a 4-0 vote. Moving on to 5.0 Pledge of Allegiance, if we could all please stand. Mr. Garay?
So,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving on to 6.0 public comment. Moving on to 7.0 presentation. 7.1 Special Education Department.
All right. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to shed some light and discuss what was given to us from the California Department of Public Health. They released a report on page 25 to address students that we're still at that top level of shutdown. And so this addresses the needs for students beyond that, students that may need more support. So we just want to touch base on it as a district to kind of discuss it. A lot of our music agencies, they reported that they read the first paragraph because people very, very excited about what was going on. So, so on August 25th, 2020, California Department of Public Health issued guidance regarding permissible small group in-person services. The cohort guidance applies to small group in-person services and applies to schools that cannot reopen for in-person pursuant to the 517. The intent of this guidance is to establish minimal parameters for providing specialized service for student with disability and English language learners access to the internet, devices for distance learning, and in-person support for at-risk and high-need students. So keeping in mind the kind of big overreaching umbrella law is as it's safe to do so, and that's what we have to keep kind of saying almost at the end of every sentence as it's safe to do so, because if you read this like, okay, so we're supposed to bring them back, but we have to keep remembering that as it's safe to do so. So when students can be served in cohorts during school closure, students with disabilities should be prioritized by the ELA for targeting supports and services. Also, EL, students at high risk for future learning loss or not participating in distance learning. Students at risk for neglect, foster youth, and students experience homelessness may also be prioritized. And who qualifies as a specialized service. So this is just an example, but there's a lot more, but this is just a sample of what it could be. Language services, other medical services, behavioral services, educational support services as part of targeted intervention and assessments. So how they define cohorts, which changed over the weekend so often, was that you couldn't have more than 16 people in a room, and 14 of those should be students, and 2 should be adults. One being the teacher and the other one being the This is where we kind of look at that when it's safe to do so. Because if you've been in any of our severe programs or our moderate programs, we have more than 2 adults in the room. And when the adult goes in that room, they can't go to another room. They have to stay with that cohort. So, in talking to the county and talking about our neighboring districts within our SOFA, this is a big flag for us on how we do that safely for the students as well as for the adults in the room. So, some more information. The students can receive one-on-one additional support. As it was laid out, the student had a one-on-one aide with them that would take up the adults in the room. So that's how it was laid out last week. So cohorts cannot interact with each other. They can't go out at the same time at recess. They have to stay in their own group. Different cohorts can meet on different days. So if we had an AB schedule where they on Mondays and Tuesdays, Wednesday, and then so kind of how we're going to reopen back at the beginning of the year, you can still do that. And should avoid changing cohorts with students. Oh, you would be better off in this dismissed class. You should avoid that whenever possible. The number of students on site at a school should not exceed 25% capacity of school enrollment size or available capacity. You can use either number, but it can't exceed 25% of those capacities. Social distancing should be maintained through staff meeting. Different cohorts should be done remotely. A meeting must be maintained between multiple student users. So lots of things are done in center. So in between the students moving, everything would be cleaned, and then another group, part of that cohort would transfer to another center. So as we all met and we talked about it, and as we met, they met with Dr. Greer met with his superintendents in the county, met with her people. I met with my special ed people, and kind of countywide, we all discussed what is safe to do right now. And as we looked, we decided a tiered plan would be best. As you know, special ed has received no waivers for continuing with assessments and IEPs and meeting those needs. We don't have a waiver for that. So to begin as soon as possible, we'd like to get do our screenings, initials, and triennials as it's safe to do so. One-on-one specified services. So I met with a teacher today, and she said, I have done an IEP for a student, but I have no idea. He just moved to our district. I don't know what he can do. So she talked about maybe having to bring him in to do some informal testing with him to develop some present levels for him, because we've met him in a Zoom meeting. And then we have some speech and language kiddos. We start seeing our speech and language students when they're 3 years old. So you can imagine trying to give speech to a 3-year-old in a Zoom meeting. It's not 100% successful 100% of the time. So picking up some of those services and bringing them here so that those can be direct services so that it's meaningful. The next tier would be preschool special education and moderate severe programs. And then the next tier would be our mild moderate programs and our RSP programs. Keep in mind that RSP programs have anywhere from 18 to 28 students in them, so that would be in an AB cohort, as to stay within those numbers. So considerations of the district things we need to be very mindful of. We continue to provide online instructions for those who are not ready to return. So if we open up our moderate severe program, we say, hey, come back, and these are some of our fragile kids. A parent may say, I don't feel it's safe, and we need to continue with an online instruction for those kind of students and for those plans. A site plan, we need to develop a site plan for each site that has to. So if we decide to do this, a site plan has to be constructed and approved by the county before it can happen. So 14 students plus 2 supervising adults. What risk population will this be a safe ratio? Necessary PPE for teacher, staff, and students, making sure that we're doing it as safely as possible. And with classrooms with more than what is safe to be ratio following the AB schedule. Now, Friday, we received an addendum to this, and they said, now we meant just a total of 16. If you have to have more adults and fewer kids in the room, then you can do that. So they did revise it a bit, but we still aren't sure it's safe to do so yet. You have questions for me?
So we're still not sure it's safe to do so, so we don't have an anticipated date when we're going to start doing this, correct?
We do have an anticipated date. We are proceeding with the assessments and some one-on-one services and some speech and language services for the ones who we cannot provide services for. But there is no date moving forward for any other services that we're bringing. Children actually got on campus in the classroom.
Anyone have anything further? Thank you.
So much for your time.
Appreciate the information. Thank you. Moving on to 8.0 consent items.
Administration recommends consent items as presented in the agenda.
I will be reading these out loud. 8.1, approve minutes for the regular board meeting on August 25th, 2020. 8.2, approve warrant registers 1920-03. 8.3, approve end of payroll for August 2020. 8.4, approve KCSOS agreement number 21-0341 for the Canvas professional development. 8.5, approve KCSOS agreement number 21-0280 for SELPA. 8.6, approve MOU with Point Loma Lazarus University student teaching clinical practice. 8.7, approve MOU with Point Loma Nazareth University fieldwork placement. And 8.8, approve interdistrict transfers. Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns?
Motion, Madam President, no questions.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve item 8.1 to 8.8.
I have a motion by member Garay to approve consent items 8.1 through 8.8. Do I have a second? I have a second by member Lopez. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to 9.0, personnel administration. 9.1, discussion and possible action to approve classified layoff resolution.
Madam Board President, our board members, administration recommends for approval of possible action and approve classified layoff resolutions noted in the amendment.
Board members, do we have any comments, questions, or concerns? Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve 9.1.
I have a motion by member Lopez to approve 9.1. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I have a second by member Garay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. On to 9.2, classified personnel, approved job description, employment resignation, retirement, leave of absence, change of status, placement redesignation, salary termination.
Madam Board President, our board members, administration recommends to approve the classified personnel action items as noted on your agenda.
Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns?
I have a question. On the, is this on the job description? Are we talking about that on that?
The ELD office specialist?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we're approving, you're being asked to approve the ELD office specialist job description.
May I ask, where are they right now? Which range will they be at?
They are currently in range 10. And part of the discussion and bargaining with CSEA has them starting in range 11.
And do you know where that right now, or less, or are they both going to be starting at range 11?
They'll both be starting, they'll move in range 10 and starting in range 11, yes.
Okay, so now 14, 16 are range. According to their,
They, in terms of, they'll be at the, with the minimum number of units. So they have a number of years in the district. So they are in the 15 to 18.
yeah.
range, so there will be a slight change in.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yes.
So none of them have any college units that you know of?
No, not that I know more.
Now, on the experience, I know before they didn't have, so do they have let me see where I say that. So do they both have the typing certificate and I think is the first aid certificate? Do they all have?
Yeah, they both have, they have obtained and they kept the required certificates and all of those things that are necessary in that job application.
Okay. Thank you.
Board members, any other comments, questions, or concerns?
No question, Madam President.
Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve 9.2.
I have a motion by member Velasquez to approve item 9.2. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by member Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Moving on to 10.0, Educational Administration. 10.1, Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan, Public Hearing. We will be going into public hearing at 6:48.
Good evening, board members and community members. Today, I'm gonna be presenting the Lamont School District Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan. And this is a public hearing. The purpose of this plan is to describe how the district will address the impacts of COVID-19 and maintain continuity of student learning in the coming year. This plan includes all these 8 sections: stakeholder engagement, in-person instruction offerings, distance learning program, pupil learning loss, mental health and social emotional well-being, pupil and family engagement and outreach, school nutrition, and additional actions to implement the learning continuity plan. In-person instruction offerings. Actually, the plan for this section started back in May, when we started planning for the reopening for July 30th. So we got a lot of stakeholder input for this part through staff surveys, parent surveys. We had virtual parent meetings, and we had DLACs and DAC, the District Advisory Committee, and they all gave us input as to which type of in-person schedule they would prefer to come to when we reopen, when we were going to reopen July 30th. So, however, the plan is asking that we still plan for an in-person instruction if given the time, the permission to come back to school. So we will follow the AB schedule we had already planned and discussed with all of our stakeholders. Continuity of program, we will be using the Canvas Learning Management System. Through Canvas, students will be able to be connected through, for the live interaction and also the asynchronous time when they're just doing their work. Or it can be homework or extra work that teachers assign. Also, Canvas would be documenting student participation, which is very important. That way we know what students are participating and what students are not. The distance learning program includes access to devices and connectivity. That's probably one of the most important aspects. Every student has to have a device, a Chromebook device, and connectivity to the internet. So we have, the plan describes our plan on how to, what we've done already And what we do every single day, what every school site does every single day, so we can make sure that all of our students have internet connectivity. And up to today, we have all of our students one-to-one Chromebook. Pupil learning loss, we're gonna be, the whole district, all the teachers already gave the STAR test to all the students for English language arts and math. So we are using those scores as a pre-assessment. So that way we can plan all the strategies, all the interventions that the students are gonna be receiving. This plan also includes mental health and social emotional well-being. It's actually one of the biggest aspects. If students don't have this, they won't be able to do the academics. So our social workers, they will continue to use the positive behavior intervention and supports framework, or PBIS, and they've done a lot of videos, but they're in the process of developing the daily social emotional lessons, providing professional development for social emotional learning to staff, and then developing a multi-tier system of support for students and staff. This section is actually the pupil and family engagement. This is a huge section because the state wants us to monitor student attendance, to monitor student engagement and participation, to make sure that all students are attending school every day and they're participating. The plan also has a plan or a system for family and student engagement and contact support by school site. This is what we follow as every school site follows the same plan. And the plan also includes a multi-tier system of support implementation to mitigate learning loss and emotional well-being. School nutrition is part of the plan, and it will continue. It'll be a grab-and-go meal distribution, on-site accommodations for safety during lunch service, and the application for waivers will continue. And last, the plan has an increase in improved services for English learners, foster youth, homeless youth, and low-income students. So the state wants us to provide extra support to these students to make sure they are attending, that they are participating, and they are engaged. So we make sure that the FRC, they give us a lot of support on reaching out to parents to make sure that foster youth, make sure that all the students who are homeless, they have a Chromebook. Make sure they have a hotspot, make sure they are connected. And that is,
Thank you, Mrs. Barca. So this is a public hearing. It is open to the public right here. Anyone? Anyone from online?
It doesn't look like anything's been submitted, but due to the format we have to have this public hearing in, when we posted the public hearing announcement, we also posted if there was any input from our stakeholders, if you could email it in or send it in via text, and nothing.
Okay. Since we don't have anything over there, I'm going to close the public hearing at 6:56 p.m. Do we need to take action on this item? No. Moving on to 11.0, Business Administration. 11.1, approve the 2019-2020 unaudited actuals.
Hey, good evening. This is the 2019-20 unaudited actuals. So we're looking here at the first page. This is our attendance page, our Form A. You can see here the first column for the 1920, the first three columns are related to last school year. Our P2, and there was, I'm assuming it's gonna be the same as P2 at 281905. But you can see this year we were funded off of last year's ADA, annual ADA amount of 2886.76. Because we are funded off of the greater of the current year or last year's ADA numbers. So this year we had a higher amount of ADA than we were paid off of. And you can see in the 2021 budget that we're still utilizing those same attendance numbers, which is our move from 1920 that we will be funded off of for this year. And there's a hold harmless clause where that's going to be in effect for the whole year time period. I don't know that we'll have an increase in ADA, but at least we'll know that we'll get it at that level. The next slide. And so you can see here what we're basically comparing is the revenues for the unaudited actuals with the 2021 budget. You can see here when we originally shared the 2021 budget, we had those cuts in play, and those have been put back into the budget. So that's where that 3.1% decline is coming from. There was no COLA this year, and there's also that slight decline in the ADA that you saw on the previous slide. The federal revenue comes from a lot of the learning loss mitigation, the CARES Act funds. That's where those huge increases are coming from, and we shared that with you at the 45-day budget revise. The same as the other state revenue and our local revenue, there were some tweaks that we discussed at our last board meeting. The total revenue for this year is looking around 46.7 million. Next slide, please. And our expenditures, this is what we had in our actuals and what we have for the budget. Pretty close and pretty similar to what we're expecting. There was a large increase in the supply and the service lines. And there was also some increases in the other areas because we had a couple of staff members that we've added with those ESSER funds or CARES Act funds is what we probably should say to encompass them all. But most of those things were put on a supply line or a service line. Now, again, depending on how we continue through this year and make changes to that, we may hire additional staff or those monies might move around. Depending on what we plan to do with the final dollars. Then our total expenditures are about 45.5 million. And so you can see here, in looking at last year's 1920 unaudited actuals, closing out the year, we added 2,260,000 to our ending fund balance. That's some money is left over from, we didn't spend all of our LCAP and some other sources of income. And you can see here, this is updated 2021 budget, where you have the net balance now at 1.2 million, increasing the fund balance in the current year. That's what we're projecting, based off of the additions in revenue, no cuts, and based on last year's kind of extra monies they're adding to that balance. Go to the next slide, please. And this is a breakdown. Normally this is all on one slide, but I couldn't fit it this time. So this section F is going to be on 2 pages. You can see that the beginning fund balance was about 18.5 million for 1920. And we are adding that previous amount, the 2 point and some change. We're bringing it up to 20,750,000. And then some of that is restricted resources. And as we bring that down, you can see on the bottom there that we have some funds that were committed. There's the facilities plan and retirement incentive, where we have spent some money on that. We have spent a little bit of money on Myrtle, as I shared with you about the CFW expenses last. And also we have paid 1 round of the classified and certificated retirement incentives. And then the second round actually took place in July of this year, and that will be reflected on later reports. And then you can see just kind of the same situation. You have 2 months of operating expenses for the BP 3100 and the facilities plan right there. Go to the next slide. And these are the remaining amounts. So we had we have our 3% at the very bottom right there, the second to the bottom line. 3% of our total expenditures is reserved for economic activity uncertainties, which is our minimum amount. You see that also on the 2021 side. And then you have some items here that we pulled out of the fund balance that we're kind of allocating to certain sources. So we have the playground projects. So this 1 million right here is the remaining amount that we have on the 3 projects in play at Alicante, Lamont, and Myrtle, where we are building those playgrounds. We made some payments, and we have about half more to complete on that. And if you recall, that's from a couple of years ago, some LCAP monies that we unspent and carried over. So that is following its way through. We're going to be opening up those POs, and I'm expecting those to be paid out this year. And you'll see that also on the 2021 side. And then in speaking with the administration, we came up with some other places and how we would like to support or propose in utilizing those other dollars. We had some proposed facilities additional towards our implementation. As some things arise or costs arise, we want to be prepared to make maximum value where we can. And also we have those anticipated deferrals up to 32% of our budget. So we're not really sure. I haven't heard anything on the feds acting. So as now that's still in play 100%. I haven't heard anything, but I know before the election they may try to pass some type of stimulus. So it's kind of up. Will probably be some type of deferral that we have to deal with. And so we're just trying to allocate some funds to that, or just prepare ourselves for the inevitable situation that is to come. And then you can see here the lottery fund balance and the leftover in EPA, just a small portion. That those are going to be dedicated to what those resources must be spent on, which is instructional services and basically certificated salaries and benefits. And was there any questions on any of this part, the previous slides, or the ending fund balance portion? Okay. And then the last slide we have is just our contributions. So the total amount of contributions we made for 1920 were about 2.9 million. You can see we made this amount to the ongoing major maintenance, and our special ed total for Fed and state was 470,000. So normally, especially the special education is a lot higher. What we were able to do is utilize some of the learning loss mitigation funds and allocate some of those resources towards that to free up some of that general fund. And that's why you're seeing it drop down to the ending balance like you have. So next year, these numbers will probably be a lot larger. And again, depending on how this year plays out, if there's an excess cost there, they will change as well. Were there any other questions about that?
Board members, any questions? Thank you. Moving on to 11.2, approve resolution. Oh, sorry, we give it. Sorry. So 11.1. If there's no further questions, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve 11.1.
I have a motion by Member Lopez to approve 11.1. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
I have a second by Member Garay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to 11.2, approve resolution number 2021-03, the GAN limit.
And so the administration suggested you approve this. This is just normal operating procedure. There's certain, to make sure that we're not overspending in regards to the amount of inflation or factors involved there that are outside of our control. So it's just basically setting certain limits and targets for those types of things.
Board's questions or concerns?
No questions, Madam President?
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve item 11.2.
I have a motion by Member Garay to approve 11.2. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Member Lopez. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Moving on to 11.3.
Administration recommends that we approve contract with NB5. It's basically to provide testing samples for the concrete that will be poured at the Lamont Elementary School kindergarten project.
Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to pass 11.3, Madam President.
I have a motion by approve 11.3. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I have a second by Member Garay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Moving on to 4.0, approve the proposal from RHL Fire Protection and Fire Hydrant Flow Test for Alicante Elementary School Modular KG Classroom Project.
One of the requirements that needs to be done before TSA approves
Lamont is to assure that we have enough water flowing through our hydrants in case there's a fire. So this does that particular test and fulfills that requirement.
Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns?
No questions, Madam President.
Do I-
I make a motion to approve item 11.4.
I have a motion by member Garay to approve 11.4. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by member Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to 11.5, approve the proposal for K3 Building Services, Inc. to provide inspector of record services for the construction of the Lamont Elementary School Modular Kindergarten Classroom Project.
This is to contract out with the state inspector, and it's part of the project. It's part of all the projects that we do with TSA. We need to have an inspector of record, and so this allows us to enter into a contract with 3KB Building Services in order to provide that service in this particular project.
Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve item 11.5.
I have a motion by member Garay to approve 11.5. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by member Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to 11.6, discussion of possible approval of commemorative garden.
Administration recommends that we approve the commemorative garden as dedicated and as presented to you in the board agenda.
Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns?
If you want to, Dr. Bernal is next door, we can ask her to come in. So she can kind of inform us a little more as far as what,
She's on her way.
I don't know if you noticed, there's new plants right along the set, and that's the reference. It was recently done, and she was the spearhead behind this, the individual behind this project, and so she's recommending that we recognize it as. Hi, come on in.
Hi,
Hello.
are there any questions regarding the commemorative garden?
It's going to be at each school site as well? Is that what I
It's
read?
right here, but we were thinking in the future, once the kids come back to school, maybe we can do some projects with the kids where they can plant actual gardens in their own schools with the permission of the principals, but that's just thinking far ahead.
Okay. But when we're approving this, because it's on there, we approve everything? Is that how it works, or?
So it does take that, right? It'll be there every school site.
And right now, we have teachers doing STEM scopes, so planting is one of the segments in the curriculum. So they've already asked for seeds. So we're thinking later when the students do grow those plants, we out here in the herb garden, or teachers decide we can get just like a container, and they can plant them in their own school in front of their classrooms. That would be an easy way to do that.
Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns?
No question, Madam President.
And I just wanted to say, after looking at the seed trains, I saw how much work Mrs. Medina did, and so that's where the thought came from.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I only have, can I
Go ahead.
add something? The only concern that I have, it's beautiful, but those crepe myrtles attract a lot of bees. And that's my main concern with anybody that might be allergic. So you can look into that,
Okay,
please. I have crepe myrtles and there's bees. They-
we can always switch them out.
I'm just, I'm sorry, I hate to,
No, that's okay, it's a good point, because we don't want kids or parents that come by to be,
but besides that, they're beautiful. I mean, as long as you keep them up and everything, but they do attract
okay.
a lot of bees.
We
Only
can switch
because
them
I,
out. No
no,
problem.
I mean, to look into it. I mean, don't take my word for it, but But besides that, it's beautiful.
So do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by member Velasquez to approve 11.6. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by member Lopez. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Moving on to 11.7, approve items for discard surplus.
Commissioners recommend that we approve the surplus list. This surplus is coming from Lamont School. It's the furniture or school furniture that was in the portables that are now being removed due to the kinder project. We're also utilizing this particular to provide desks for our students at home as well, for those families that might need a designated area with the appropriate furniture. We're providing that to them upon request.
We have quite a bit.
Yes, we do. We have that surplus, and then we had previous surplus built up. So it's one way that we can kind of help each other out. Provide the furniture for parents who want it, and also release some of our storage.
Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve item 11.7.
I have a motion by member Garay to approve 11.7. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by member Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to 12.0, items removed from consent calendar. Moving on to 13.0, reports and communication. 13.1, board member reports. Mr. Lopez?
Nothing to report this time, Madam President.
Mr. Garay?
Just attended virtually the back to school night, and I would say that I was to like maybe 20 minutes of different classes, and one of those parents were asking about those desks for for some people they needed at home. So there was another parent, actually, that I asked questions, some parents, about their students. If everybody had like a babysitter or an adult person at home, because most of them they work, and they said they had like high school students, and I would say those high school students, I don't know if they drive because to go at lunch, or maybe I don't know if they're old enough to drive. But it was good overall, though. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Ms. Velasquez?
Yes, I also attended a few of these meetings here, the Title I at Lamont. Also, I think they had I don't know if they had the back to school or something, but anyways. And at Myrtle Avenue, I popped in with Mr. Bellato and Mr. C, which is a special ed, and I was very, very impressed with their presentation. I mean, I just was overwhelmed with their presentation. I just, they were on target. I mean, they went and they explained. Mr. Bellato didn't know that I was there. I mean, I was the only, actually it was the PE teacher and him. And so when I went in and he went through the whole thing, and then finally he said, well, who's your student? I said, no, I'm the board. Oh, I recognize your name. But he did a beautiful presentation. And of course, Mr. C being his first year, I mean, I loved it. I was so, so impressed. So anyways, and of course, Miss Adamson and, with the vice principal, they did a good job. So I was really impressed. That's my report.
Thank you. As for myself, I just want to thank everyone that works for the district, all the parents that are working hard, helping us out with this transition. So again, I have great gratitude for everyone. Thank you. Moving on to 13.2, superintendent report.
I will be sending out a survey to try to nail down the strategic planning meeting that we agreed upon. The topic that we will be discussing is every department will do a presentation and give you an update as far as what they're doing under the current conditions we find ourselves in distance learning. So I will send out a survey to you guys with 3 different dates. You guys vote on what date will work best for you. And that's kind of how we're gonna roll this out, okay? So please be on the lookout for your email. The next thing is that I want to report to you is I'm being told that within the next couple of weeks, the state will finally release the funds for Lamont's kindergarten project. So once that happens, then they'll go back to the general contractor and get it all ironed out. And so we anticipate possibly doing something in the first 2 weeks of October. Okay, so just be prepared for that. I've been talking to CFW. We're planning something virtually, I believe, if not even there, just with the proper spacing. But we do want to celebrate. I think that's a great milestone in our process that we've been in for the last 2.5 years. And so it's something that we need to kind of make sure that we celebrate, that we recognize where we've gone in our journey and where we'll be going in our journey. Okay. And then we will have a special board meeting on September 23rd. Okay. That is to approve the learning continuity plan. And also scheduled there too is board approval for the sewer project for Alicante. So that'll also be on the board agenda, but hopefully it'll be a quick meeting. And pending where we're at, it'll either be 5 or 5:30.
Maybe earlier. Yeah.
If we can meet earlier, I'll reach out and contact you guys and see if we can. But tentative schedule between 5 and 5:30.
Okay. And you said it's gonna be a quick.
It should be quick.
Okay.
We could even, if we can do it early enough, we could even make it a lunch meeting.
Okay, so I'll be available, so.
Oh, you will?
Oh, you will be?
I will be, yeah, I'm off for about 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Oh, we can have,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be
Okay,
good.
'cause-
and then also just wanted to let you guys know, teacher conferences are occurring now this week. They're virtually and or through a conference call. All teachers are reaching out to the parents and kind of give them a status check on how their child is progressing under distance learning. We anticipate parents reaching out to us and asking for additional help. So we will be kicking off our after-school program and providing tutoring in the afternoon for individuals that might need additional assistance. So just wanted to kind of let you guys know, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on to 13.3, Director 2 Instructional Services. Moving on to 13.4, Director 2 Administrative Services.
Nothing to report this time.
Thank you. 14.0, Correspondence. 14.1, School Site Board Updates.
Correspondence as presented in the agenda.
Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns on those?
No questions.
On school site board updates?
No, I read through them and it seems like they're doing a really good job, but need to mention also, I know with the people that the years of service, to congratulate them. I mean, there was one, Arlene Watson. From
Yeah, 45 years.
40,
Wow.
40.
according to,
Yeah,
40 years.
I had it 5.
Wow.
Wow.
I know, unbelievable. But she's been with the district for quite some time.
Yeah, 40 years, so that's,
And it's unfortunate we can't recognize it personally, but hopefully once this is over, we can kind of bring them back.
Mhm.
Because they missed out on a buyback, being recognized in front of their peers, and so maybe we can do something for them after this is over, recognize them during one of our board meetings.
Yeah. I noticed in Mountain View on their report that they put their pictures, and I know the other schools didn't. So that was really nice because it gives you a visual of who the individual is, and that's really nice. The presentation that you emailed us was really nice.
Well, that's thanks to Jessica. She put it together for us, and we have a great team at the district office that we're all working very diligent to make this thing work. We have to come up with creative ways maintain the same activities, but maybe in a different format. And so,
Yeah, and I appreciate all the updates on Instagram and Facebook and, you know, that keeps me updated too, you know, whether you know it or not, but that's really needed. I know Nati, sometimes you share a lot of stuff and I try to do that too and just keep our, you know, everybody informed.
Agreed. Moving on to 14.2, department board updates.
those are presented in your, board packet.
Board members, any comments, questions, or concerns? No? Okay, moving on to 15.0, closed session. We will be moving into closed session after a 5-minute recess. Hopefully at 7:27. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.